This video isn't for the hopeless romantic still chasing the fairy tale of talking fixes everything. If you're the guy sending novel-length texts, pouring your heart out in 3 a.m., voice notes, or playing emotional detective with, "Does she still care?" do yourself a favor. Close this video and go hug a pillow. This ain't a shoulder to cry on. This is a cold, hard slap. No sugarcoating, no anesthesia. But if you're done being her unpaid therapist, ignored with a smirk, and you're ready to wield silence like a blade that cuts through her ego like it's warm butter, pull up a chair, listen up, and for the love of God, don't cry. She doesn't miss your good morning texts. She doesn't miss your I miss you vibes. Hell, she doesn't even miss you. What she misses is the control, the drama where you played the clown in her one-woman show. When she loses that grip, she loses it. Because a diva without an audience is just another ego screaming into the void. Why did she never value you? Because you were her emotional Wi-Fi, always on, always available, even when she was just checking if you were still connected. You became her favorite toy in her little power game. Spoiler alert, nobody respects what they can control. A guy who reacts too much becomes her on-off switch. She pokes, you respond. She ghosts, you beg. Congrats, you're her free validation app. But silence. Silence is high-end psychological warfare. It rips up her script, burns the stage, and kills the lights. Silence isn't absence. It's a ghost that haunts. It's you vanishing from her radar, but lingering in her unease. It's the what if that never leaves. This video's gonna teach you how to shut up, not like a coward, but like a mastermind. Because a man who goes quiet becomes a mystery. And a mystery, that's the one thing her spoiled ego can't control. But before we dive into this wake-up call, let's use the 3 brain cells you've got left. This video didn't pop up because fate's got your back. It's here because someone smarter than your heartbreak hit like, commented, and subscribed. Not destiny. Algorithm. And algorithms, my dude, aren't your mom. They're machines. They only reward those who feed them. So if you're sitting there looking like an emotional orphan, soaking up this wisdom like the universe owes you a fix, bold move. Smash that like button. Drop a grateful in the comments to keep your spiritual glow-up fantasy alive. And subscribe, because the next kick in the pants might come with your name on it. Enough warm-up. Let's get to the surgery no anesthesia. 1. Her ego thrives on your noise. She loves playing the I want a mature chill guy card, doesn't she? All an act. Backstage, she's hoarding emotional train wrecks. The guys who cry in voice notes, send good morning after 3 days of being ghosted, and apologize for existing. Why? Because her spoiled ego doesn't feed on affection. It feeds on control, on watching you flail like a fish on the hot pavement of her pride. She doesn't want love. She wants a performance. She wants you crawling while she ghosts, just to feel you're still on her leash. It's a show where every reply you send gets her a standing ovation, in her head, of course. Admitting he's still into me is her ego's jet fuel. You think the problem was loving too much? Or not being good enough? Cute. The problem was you were predictable. Her emotional teddy bear, always there, always saying the same lines, always ready for her, "This time I'm done" charade. And when she figured that out, she started playing the lose you game, just to watch you lose yourself chasing her. And you, the perfect sidekick in your own story, did what? Chased, begged, justified things that didn't even happen. You became the doormat with "Welcome to emotional abuse" stitched in bold. But here's the plot twist. Try going silent. No warning, no note, no sappy goodbye. Just vanish. Cut the noise. And watch. Watch her ego crumble like a sandcastle at high tide. Because her illusion of power, it was built on your loud desperation. When you go quiet, she loses the stage, the crowd, the applause. An actress without an audience, she implodes. Don't come at me with "that's immature." Immature is thinking love lives in shouting. This is strategy, the start of your emotional revolution. It's you stepping out of doormat mode and becoming the silence that echoes where you used to beg. When you were talking, she was in charge. But now that you're silent, her script's in the trash, and she feels it, quietly. Because admitting your silence hurts more than anything, her ego wouldn't dare whisper that. 2. Silence creates the void that stings. Humans hate emptiness. But a woman with an inflated ego, she despises silence like it's her kryptonite, because silence is the one mirror she can't filter. In the total absence of your response, she's stripped bare emotionally, of course, and sees the stage is empty, the crowd gone. When you disappear, she doesn't miss you. She misses the leash, the voice command, the power of knowing one "Hey stranger" text would bring you back like an obedient ghost. But then, poof, nothing. No likes, no texts, not even a pity reaction. What's left? A cold, hollow void. An emotional echo that hammers her brain like it's her fault she lost control. She checks her phone, expecting your name, finds silence, posts a vague story, fishing for drama, gets nothing but air, throws out a jab, hoping for a fight, gets indifference. The show's over. A diva without an audience is just another lonely soul with Wi-Fi. Then the panic sets in. She tries to fill the void with forced stories, fake laughs with random guys, carefully staged photos. But silence? It doesn't budge. It haunts. It lingers in her feed, her head, her self-esteem. Her mind turns traitor. Did he move on? Did he forget me? Did he finally see I'm not all that? The more she pretends not to care, the stronger your silence grows, because it turns your absence into a presence, a weight, a ghost. The best part? You didn't do a thing. You just shut up, stopped feeding her game. Now she's addicted to a void she can't fill. The irony, the silence you used to heal yourself, she feels it as 24/7 torture. Her ego can handle anger, jealousy, neediness. But indifference? That's her Achilles' heel. And that's when it hits her. The man who goes quiet doesn't vanish. He rises. And from up there, his silence screams louder than any desperate "I love you." Silence, my friend, is the new roar of power, and she knows it, even if she'll never admit it. 3. When you don't explain, she blames herself. The magic of silence isn't in what you say. It's in what you refuse to. Every time you explain yourself, you hand her the perfect alibi. You ease her conscience, pin the blame on your overly intense ways, and walk away as the problem. Meanwhile, she struts off, soul cleansed, ego polished. But when you go silent, oh, the circus catches fire without a single match. In the void of your mute absence, the only noise she hears is her own ghost screaming. And trust me, they don't play nice with her victim narrative. Her ego fights back, of course. It clings to the usual lines. He's just playing hard to get. He's bluffing. He'll be back, he always is. But time ticks on. Your silence holds, and the cracks in her pride start to show. Where there's a crack, doubt creeps in. Doubt, my guy, is the virus you plant without lifting a finger. While you're chilling in peace, she's out there playing emotional CSI, replaying old chats, hunting for clues, trying to figure out where she lost her favorite puppet. That's when the guilt hits. Not the cute apology text kind. The silent soul-crushing kind. The kind her pride locks away. The kind she feels but will never confess. She starts stalking you like a pro. Scours your photos like they're crime scene evidence. Decodes your captions for hidden messages. Checks who liked, who commented, when you were last online. All this without you typing a single "hey" in her world, where she always called the shots. Your silence is an apocalypse without warning. You became the puzzle she can't solve, and she hates it, because a woman with an inflated ego thrives on certainty. But you, silent, became the doubt she can't erase. Her "he'll never leave me" turns into "what if he's gone for good?" That's when you stop being her disposable accessory and become the ghost that haunts her with zero effort and maximum impact. You don't need to yell, curse, or make a scene. Just say nothing, because silence from a man who's learned his worth, that's the loudest scream she's ever heard. And that echo, my friend, will rattle her mind for a long, long time. So silence is the one thing her ego can't tame. Her ego is basically a Hollywood screenwriter, dramatic, manipulative, always gunning for the Victim of the Year Oscar. It crafts scenes, tests your reactions, directs provocations like life's a soap opera where you're the court jester. And guess what? Every time you take the bait, she smirks. Because in her script, you're still predictable. You're still hers. But there's one thing even her megalomaniac ego can't handle. Silence. Because silence, my dude, is a script with no lines. And an ego with no lines, it short circuits. There's no comeback for absence. No rehearsed monologue can save her when the other character just walks off stage. She pulls every trick that used to work. Vague story post, you ignore it. Selfie with a vibes on point caption, you don't even look. Bikini pic trying to seem effortless, you laugh. Because now, you're not her needy extra. You're the director who ditched the project and took the audience with him. What's left? A narcissistic actress, alone on stage, monologuing to empty seats. No crowd, no reaction, no control. Her ego spirals because it only thrives when it's worshipped, fed with likes and predictable responses. And you cut the supply. Every failed attempt to grab your attention cracks her empire of illusions. She was so sure. One whispered, "Hey," one flirty glance, one cheap jab, and you'd come running like her emotional puppy. But now, the gate's locked. You're not barking, not growling, not wagging your tail. You're gone. And her? She fakes it. Pretends she's over it. Pretends she's thriving. Pretends you're erased. But it's all a show. Because her ego didn't want you gone. It wanted you back. To discard you again. It wanted the cycle, the game, the spotlight. But the lead actor walked out. Closed the curtain. Killed the sound. Now she's there. Mic on, speech ready, costume flawless. But talking to no one. Because the only script her ego can't handle is the one where you abandon the stage in silence. And that, my friend, is the ending she never rehearsed. 5. When you talk, she controls. When you shut up, she spirals. Every time you open your mouth to explain, you hand over the keys to your emotional vault. You show her what hurts, what you feel, what you hope for, what you'll take. You give her the blueprint to your psyche like it's your bank pin. And her, she's thrilled. Not out of love, but control. You send a, "I'm upset you're ignoring me." Perfect, she thinks. He's still hooked. Ask, "Why are you acting weird?" She grins. Nice, he's insecure. Pour your heart out in a text essay. She skims it, cherry picks what matters, the proof you're still in her pocket. Now flip the script. You, silent. You, gone. You, reading but not replying. You, breaking the cycle. And that, my guy, is when she loses her lines. Because silence is the one stage her ego can't perform on. She starts imagining. And her mind, in full paranoia mode, becomes a conspiracy factory. Did he get over me? Is there someone else? Did he finally see I'm not worth it? The best part? She has no answers. Because you shut up. And nothing tortures a control-obsessed ego more than the silence of uncertainty. She spirals. Because she no longer knows where you are. If you still care, if you still think of her, if you're still hurting. And that eats her alive. When you were talking, she could manipulate you. But now that you're silent, she's got no leverage, just a void full of unanswered questions. That void is unbearable for someone who always set the rules, because a man who talks is still trying to fix things. But a man who shuts up, he's already fixed himself. You became a mystery. And mystery, my friend, is the kind of drug she can't quit. The predictable, she dismisses. But the enigma, she chases. And you, silent, became the puzzle she broke and can't put back together. 6. Silence makes you a mystery. Ever notice how anything too easy gets tossed aside, and anything no one can figure out becomes an obsession? Exactly. When you were her emotionally trained puppy, predictable, needy, always online, she treated you like a sticker she already had, been there, bored of it, knows how it ends. She'd ghost, and you'd pop up. She'd play cold, and you'd melt. She'd turn away, and you'd send a text novel begging to talk. You were an open book, the kind nobody reads, because they already know the last line. Then came silence. The disappearance. The absence that doesn't warn, doesn't explain, doesn't ask permission. And boom. The disposable became a mystery. The predictable became a puzzle. And her. She's glitching. You stopped talking, stopped giving signals, stopped feeding her emotional game. And that, my dude, is next-level torture. Because her mind, used to controlling your every reaction, is hitting buttons and getting nothing. Black screen, no signal, no response. You became the what if that haunts her at 3 a.m., the text that never comes, the notification she waits for and pretends she doesn't, and her ego, it's in flames. Because someone who always had everything on lock can't handle losing what she thought was guaranteed. Now she watches you in silence, stalks you like she's cracking a case, tracks your moves like a frustrated emotional detective, all without the guts to send a hey, because her pride screams, but her doubt screams louder. All because you shut up. Stopped giving context, stopped translating your feelings for someone who only read what she wanted. And the man who shuts up becomes a legend. Because every woman has that one guy she never figured out, never pinned down, never controlled. And that guy, she never forgets. She never. You went from cute and clingy to the enigma that lingers in her thoughts, even when she's with someone else. Because silence, my friend, isn't absence. It's luxury presence. The kind that haunts even in the dark. And now you're living rent-free in her head, without saying a word, without showing up, without paying emotional taxes, just existing. As a mystery she created, and can't erase. 7. She'll say she doesn't care, but her actions scream otherwise. Cue the performance. A photo with a "freedom feels amazing" caption, but her eyes are emptier than a broke guy's fridge at the end of the month. Stories with friends, forced giggles, choreographed dance moves, all perfectly staged to scream, "I'm fine." But anyone trying that hard to look happy is falling apart inside. The cherry on top. The classic line, "I don't even think about him anymore." Funny, right? Because people who've truly moved on don't need to chant it like a self-help mantra. But her ego needs it. Needs to shout she's unbothered while her heart's quietly taking a beating. You vanished. Didn't make a scene. Didn't beg. Just evaporated emotionally. And that, to her, is unacceptable. The script was supposed to go differently. You were meant to lose it, chase her, cry on her voicemail, beg for another spin on her emotional carousel. But now, you're the glitch she can't fix. And your silence? It's the sound she hates most, So she goes to plan B, posts a pic with some random dude, hangs out with a nobody to prove she's over it. But when they kiss, it feels flat. Because the new guy tries too hard, gives too much, lays it all out. And that just highlights how your silent absence hits harder, how your quiet disdain speaks louder than words. She'll try to erase you with someone else's touch. But mid-hookup, her mind's replaying your last look. She'll laugh loud in public and cry soft into her pillow. Because she lost you to the one thing she can't manipulate: silent indifference. You didn't need to yell, throw shade, or air dirty laundry. You just disappeared. And for a woman who fed on your constant affection, that's like starving at a banquet. The food's there, but it's not for her. Every time you don't react, it's a psychological jab. Every absence is a knife to the ego that thought it had you forever. Your silence became your velvet-gloved punch. And her, she'll keep pretending she's fine, while your absence tattoos itself where her pride used to reign. Congrats. You became the ghost her ego swore it'd never fear. 8. Silence isn't coldness, it's power. You didn't go cold, you got clear. After getting a LOL to a text you poured your soul into, after hearing "you're special but" in that tone that's already picking someone else, after being sidelined with a "it's just a phase" excuse, there's nothing left to say, just silence. And in this case, silence isn't giving up, it's leveling up. Silence isn't a lack of feeling, it's an overflow of clarity. It's realizing that talking more is just tossing pearls to someone who collects hearts like cheap trophies. You shut up not because you don't care. You shut up because you care too much. To keep begging. And that, my dude, is power. The power to not react. The power to walk away without a spectacle. The power to exit the stage like you never needed the spotlight because your presence was gold and she thought it was just another item in her emotional inventory. Now that you're silent, the void shows up. Now she sees that the good morning she ignored was actually care in disguise, that your annoying consistency was the only stability she had. But now, it's just an echo, and she's wondering, when did I lose him? Easy. When she treated your presence like an obligation. Instead of begging for scraps, you chose silence. And that silence isn't coldness. It's emotional mastery, because the guy who shouts is lost. The guy who shuts up, he's found himself. The desperate chase. The smart disappear with style. And the man who's learned to vanish with dignity, he's the one who dismantles the ego that thought it had him on a lifetime lease. Now she's replaying it, overthinking it, regretting it. But you're not there anymore. Not because you wanted to hurt her, but because you realized your presence was consumed, not cherished. And someone who's used doesn't come back to serve. You became an absence that weighs heavy, a silence that teaches, a presence that only shows up when respect leads the way. She thought you were being cold, but the truth, you just gave yourself the value she never had the guts to give you. And that, my friend, is the kind of ice that doesn't melt. It just freezes the ego of someone who thought they were fire. 9. Who shuts up doesn't beg. Who vanishes doesn't return. The man who's learned to stay silent has broken free from the emotional leash. Because silence is the line between needy and aware. And the aware, they don't crawl back to the emotional dump where they got kicked out. They don't beg for one more chance. They don't send "let's work it out" essays. They don't try to convince someone who already showed they didn't choose you. They shut up. They walk away. And they don't look back to see if she noticed. Because silence, my dude, is the posture of the powerful. It's the classiest "we're done" there is. No drama, no audience, no script. Just absence. And absence hurts more than a speech. Weighs more than a sad text novel. Cuts deeper than a fight staged to stroke her ego. When you go silent, you don't need to explain. You make her feel. Feel the sting of losing access. Feel the emptiness of a notification that never comes. Feel the pain of throwing a jab and getting silence back. Because the man who shuts up has said it all, and the man who vanishes doesn't leave a note, just a void. You're not her emotional reset button. Not an app she can open when boredom strikes. You're a man. And a man who's learned his worth doesn't play extra in anyone's emotional drama. She'll call you everything. Prideful, cold, heartless. But what she's really saying is, you slipped my control, and it scares me. You stopped following her script, cut your lines, left the stage, and now she's acting solo. You went from being the certainty she used to puff herself up to the void that no filter or happy story can erase. Because your silence is worth more than any desperate "I love you," worth more than any attempt to reconnect. Now you don't need to be understood, or accepted, or heard. You became the period at the end of a story she thought you'd never dare close. And that silence, that's the ending she'll never rewrite. Brutal closure! In the end, it's not your affection she misses. It's the control. The power to push a button and watch you come running like always. What hurts her isn't your absence. It's the void where she used to toy with your emotions with a smile and an "I'm confused." When you went silent, she lost the script. When you vanished, she lost the remote. When you stopped crawling, she lost her favorite toy. And that, my dude, is her collapse dressed up as a new chapter. She'll keep parading fake smiles and calculated photos. Keep saying it's better this way, like she's trying to convince herself. But her pillow, it whispers your name every night, because the silence you left still screams in her head. A man who shuts up with purpose becomes a legend. Every woman has one, a name she pretends to forget. A silence that still stings. A ghost that shows up mid-hug with someone else. And now, guess what? That's you. You stopped begging, stopped explaining, stopped groveling for crumbs of affection. And in that moment, you won. She might not say it, but she thinks it. Might not show it, but she feels it. Might not come back, but she'll never erase you. Because silence, my man, is premium venom. It doesn't explode, doesn't shout, it just corrodes, drop by drop, until her ego looks in the mirror and hates the empty reflection you left behind. You didn't become the villain. You became the glitch in her emotional system. The error she'll never fix. If this video woke you up, drop in the comments. Silence is my revenge. And remember, you don't need to shout to be heard. Just vanish with style.